Alright guys, so this is the Cube Interactive activity that I have linked in the Google Classroom, and I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial on how to use it. So once you get into the Cube activity, you're going to see something that looks like this. Now you will also notice that you can click on each of the sides of the pattern, the cube pattern, in order to form an actual box. And then you can click them again in order to have them flatten back down into a pattern. You can also, if you look here at the side, this sidebar on the left, you'll see the options cube, row, and layer. So these are the different ways you can find out how many cubes can fit in the box. So you can do it individually by cube and then count them up that way, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then just continue. And then if you want to get rid of those, you go down here to the clear button and get rid of them. So I'm going to do that so I can show you. You can also do it by row. So if you click on the row button, you just get rows and rows and rows, and then you can kind of lift up the sides to see how many more you need in order to fill the box. So you can do it that way. I'm going to clear that. Or you can do it by, and if you just drop this, you can either have that up if you want, or you can drop it down. You have control over that. And you can also do it by layer. So the third button there is layer, and as you can see here, now the box is completely filled, but then you would have to just figure out how many cubes are in the box. So I'm going to clear that. Those are your three options as far as filling up your box. So the two things that you want to find, if you look up here at this top blue bar, is volume and surface area. So I'm going to start with volume. Volume is the amount of cubes that fit inside the box. So you can do this by lifting up all of your sides and turning it into a box and then counting that way, or you can drop them down and you can use your tools over here on the side. Now I already went through the different options, but you can use cubes and just pile them in, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then just continue counting until you've filled the entire box. Okay, remember the box goes up to this, the top of this blue side. So you can just count up all the cubes if you want, or you can do it by row, which is a little bit quicker, and you can count by fours that way, or you can do it by layer. So you can do it any way that you want, but you do have to figure out how many cubes can fit inside this box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go by layer. So I can see in this layer there's 4 across, and then there are 1 2 3 4 5 going lengthwise. So 4 times 5 gives me 20. So I know there's 20 cubes in each layer. So if I do 1 2 3 layers and there's 20 cubes in each layer, then I know that there are 60 cubes in this box. Okay, and I can close up my box, and then I'm going to write 60 up here in the volume, and then I can click this button with the little green check mark to see if it is correct, and that is correct. So I'm good there. So I'm going to drop down the rest of my box. I'm going to clear out all of the layers that I put inside, and I'm going to drop down my sides again, and now I need to figure out what the surface area is. That's the second task. And the surface area is basically counting how many squares are in the pattern. Okay, so if you follow my cursor, I am counting along the longest side first. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. So 14 across. Okay, and then I'm going to count the lengthwise, or I'm sorry, the widthwise along this way. So I have 1 2 3 4 5. And then I want to figure out what 14 times 5 is. So you can do this math off to the side on a piece of paper. I know that 14 times 5 is 70. So in this whole section right here where you see my mouse, this whole rectangle in the center, there are 70 squares. So since I figured that out, all I need to do now is figure out how many squares are in these two little flaps on the sides. So I can see that these flaps are each 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that there are 12 squares in this flap and there are 12 squares in this flap. So altogether I just need to add 70 plus 12 plus 12 in order to find the surface area, because remember, this whole section in here is 70 and then each of these flaps has 12 squares, and altogether that's going to give me 94. So that's the math that I came up with for the surface area, but I'm going to put it up here in the box in order to check my math. So I decided that it was 94, and that is correct. So I checked it, it's correct, and now I can move on to my next cube. So you're going to be recording all of these answers on your cube interactive activity recording sheet. This first one obviously I did for you in this tutorial, but you can move on to the next cubes and then continue doing them yourself. Okay, you can ask me if you have any questions, but this is your tutorial for the cube activity. Have fun!